In the heart of historic Gettysburg, where the past and present merge seamlessly, there's a place that captured my attention immediately. A nook in a historic building right on Lincoln Square. Wow, this place is incredible. This is exactly what I've been searching for. This place is definitely unique, and it is so inviting. There is so much to see, I don't even know where to start. From fashion to perfume, jewelry, candles, cards to handcrafted treasures, Lark is a modern marketplace like no other. If it tells a story, you can find it at Lark. Indulge in celestial-inspired fine fragrances, handmade jewelry from bohemian to art-inspired, and pure soy candles. From the moment I walked through the door, I knew I'd found something extraordinary. Lark isn't just a store, it's an experience. A journey through Gettysburg wouldn't be complete without a visit to Lark, where curiosity meets inspiration and where every visit is an adventure waiting to happen. Discover a retail shop unlike anything else in Gettysburg. Discover Lark.
Would guide the way, but the clouds drew.
We're all ready. Hello again, sports fans. Alongside Corey Smith, I'm Jeff Cook, and welcome to the chat. This is episode 879. The countdown to 900 begins. Tax day, April 15th. If you haven't filed your taxes, you only got about 6 more hours. Better time to start, or get down to H&R Block.
Yeah,
or
if you're not
whatever.
finished yet, just wait till after trivia and after sports chat. Just work on 8 o'clock there. But
Right, exactly.
I mean, if you wait this long, just wait another 2 more hours. But happy tax day.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
pretty exciting. This is the first time in 40-some years, almost 50 years, I haven't done my own taxes, so I was not disappointed to not have to do them this year. Things got a little more complicated, beyond my knowledge. I had personal income tax in law school, but things have changed a lot.
Yep. I mean, I did mine off this computer and
Filed. Here's a question.
Yeah.
If you owe money, can you pay with a credit card? I guess you have to.
yeah.
They don't charge you a fee or anything like that, a handling fee?
I don't know.
Okay,
The
all right.
times when I filed, usually I get like a return
refund?
or something like that there. So I would assume it'd be like with a credit card of like, hey, we need something, or a checking account. But that's
Venmo?
like, hey,
PayPal.
Here's my money.
Yeah,
Take my
right.
thousands of
I'm always
dollars that
leery
I
of
owe.
putting my personal information out there in the
Interwebs.
web universe. Yeah, exactly. So sometimes we get into these fascinating chats before we get on the air, and we lose track of the good stuff we talked about. But last week I wrote this question: how many NBA player coaches have there been? And I looked it up before we came on the air. The answer is 40.
And I thought 7. It's not going to be over 10
So,
or something like that.
But nobody in about 40 years. Dave Cowan, the last one for the Celtics, I think they said the 77, 78 season, somewhere around there. So, I mean, it's an antiquated concept, how you could be the coach and also be out there. I'm tired. Come in for me,
We're talking about someone that was 24, years
Yeah,
old.
Dave DeBusschere was the player
Yes.
coach of the Pistons when he was 24 years old. Fascinating stuff.
Yeah, I mean, does he get double the salary? I mean, does he get coach salary and player salary?
Yeah, right. You hope you get something extra for being the coach.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah, or, guys, I'm tired, take it easy today, I'm gonna do that. I mean, I don't know, but Richie Guerin is in the Hall of Fame, or no, it was Lenny Wilkens and Bill Russell in the Hall of Fame as player and coach. So, 2 busts, I guess, in the Hall of Fame.
I guess so, or more information on their bus there.
Is Dwayne Wade in yet? Because remember his statue, like, who the heck is that? Oh, that's Dwayne Wade. What?
If he's not in, I think he's soon going to be
Yeah,
in there.
he's on the threshold.
Is it 3 years, 4 years? I mean, what's the?
I don't know, I think it's at least 5 years you have to be,
yeah.
like, that's, might even be 10. Like, when did, Ichiro Suzuki, retire? I mean, was it 10 years ago?
5 years, because he played
it's
that
only
one
5
one
years?
series in the Japan series there, but then
Okay.
um,
But I mean, from MLB was what, at least, was only
least
5
5
years
years,
ago?
yeah.
Well, that's probably their marker, so I imagine it's similar in other sports, but we don't claim to be an authority.
it's probably a little bit different with coaches because you got because the the Hall of Fame for basketball, it's all college. And,
Yeah, and
so
I've been
it's-
there, Springfield. It's
Mm-hmm.
awesome. They have a court, you can go down and shoot a layup. They used to have exhibition games there, but I don't think they do anymore.
Hmm.
But it really is fascinating, the history of when black players were excluded, they had their own league, and just really cool stuff. But so yeah, let's talk about hottest scene. Well, do you want to show that clip?
Well, I had it on my phone here, but not on there.
Oh,
but,
you do?
Yeah, the clip from
Oh, you
last.
just like the audio?
Yeah, just the audio there.
Okay,
So that's,
we're talking Masters now, and Tom Sixes, my former co-host, Boot of the Wise One, had a very heartwarming story in today's Gettysburg Times about watching the Masters with his dad. That was the final round of the Masters. They didn't watch any other golf all year round, but I guess it was pretty special yesterday.
yeah, or
For
Monday
you
or Sunday, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Sunday.
So this was from last week. If I have to pick somebody to win the Masters, I'm going to go with Roy to finish the Grand Slam. I think that is the one major he has not,
He's been playing pretty well lately.
Yeah, he's got a couple wins so far on the tour this year. So I'm going to go with Rory McIlroy to win the 2025 Masters.
Heard it here on Sports Chat, Rory.
So.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, okay. Did you win any money on that prediction?
I put a couple bucks before
Oh, like
the
friendly
round there.
wager?
Just a
with
friendly wager.
friends and, yeah.
A buddy of mine, we do a snake draft there, and we pick 6 for each there. And I had the first pick, and I went with Roy. He
Rory.
went Scotty, and the rest
Where
was
did he
history.
finish? I know it was quite a day for the United Kingdom. They went 1-2.
Scotty came in the top 5 there, so it was back and forth there. But looking at the round there for Roy, just the first round itself there, it looked like he was going to go contend for the lead. And then he gets a double bogey on 15 and a double on 17, and the wheels just seemed like they were just falling off. Ends around even par, and just start. He had a heck of a round on Friday. Just going up the leaderboard. But
Well, Justin Rose had 2 great rounds, and then he looked like he was dropping out of it, and then he got back in it again.
yeah, he went. He shot a 75 on Saturday, and that really kind of hurt him, going 3 over on Saturday. But he had 10 birdies on Sunday. Just the length for that putt on 18, I think it was 35-foot putt, and just how he got that in. Went to the clubhouse, 11 under, and it was.
Then he had to come back out and play the 18th again.
Yes, yeah. So, that he's the first golfer to lose a playoff hole at the Masters. So he's 0-2 in playoffs because he lost in 2017. That was the last playoff to Sergio Garcia. So
Doesn't one of the majors have a 18-hole playoff? I remember Tiger Woods.
I think that was
The
the
US
the
Open?
U.S. Open. I think they kind of rescinded. I think it's a 3-hole playoff now.
Okay, well, that was, yeah, like, wow, that's quite a playoff when you gotta go another 18 holes, 5
Mm-hmm.
days in a row. I mean, I've never golfed, but.
That's
never, I mean,
definitely
chip
taxing.
and putt.
Yes, yeah,
and-
the
and
putt
mini
golf there, yeah.
But never played 18 holes of a golf course, nor do I aspire to do so. It's not
Mm-hmm.
on my list.
So I'm going to go with my shining star, Roy McIlroy, winning the 2025 Masters.
Oh, yeah,
So
absolutely. I mean, we could stop right there because probably everything else pales in comparison. I'll go with Red Sox pitcher, what's the guy's name? The new guy, the lefty?
Garrett Crochet,
Garrett
Crochet.
Crochet, like
Yes.
making booties. He had a no-hitter late.
Through 7, I think it was,
Okay, so,
against his former team.
yeah, the Chi Sox.
Mm-hmm.
Are they as bad as last year?
They're right up
Imagine
there,
it,
yeah.
Right down there, it would be a better way to put it, but, okay. And, so, what about the hot seat?
My hot seat, I'm going to go with the Phoenix Suns. They fired Mike Budenholzer. He was there after 1 season, and they finished 36-46,
They finished 11th, so out of the,
out of the playoffs
completely out of the playoffs.
And they still have that. They signed him for 4 years, $40 million. Still have to pay that off, and they still have to pay off their other head coach they fired with Frank Vogel. So it's just a
They're
mess.
still paying him too. I guess they have unlimited funding in,
Somewhere in the
Yeah.
in the valley, but
what
just
about the, oh, go ahead.
oh
I was gonna say, what, ET, I didn't wanna forget that, but I'm sure you have it somewhere in your
yeah, we'll get that in just a.
memory bank.
But yeah, just with the Phoenix Suns of just where they're at right now, and just what a few years ago they were the top of the West,
Yeah,
and
supposedly had this big three and Durant and.
Chris Paul and
Beal. Oh, well, I'm talking about now.
oh yeah, I mean beforehand
Yeah,
that was when
right.
they're winning and all that there, but yeah, now it's basically you have to tear the whole thing down and restart the whole process. And where they're at, they're not going to have a good lottery pick because with 36 wins, they're going to be picking in that middle back end of in the teens and all that there. So who knows where they're at? That's quite the win, in the background there. But so who are you putting for the hot seat
I'm gonna say NFL GMs, because isn't the draft coming up?
next Thursday?
I mean, you can really lay an egg and get a lot of fan hostility next Thursday. So not this Thursday, but about 10 days away.
Yes, on the 25th. So we are basically less than 10 days once we hit in the evening time frame.
Yeah. Well, it's coming up imminently. So what's the latest on the number one pick? Is it still Cam Ward?
I would say from all I've been hearing, it's going to be Cam Ward. From Tennessee, it looks like they are foregoing. With
So
Cam
where's
Ward.
that leave Will Levis? Available.
Probably a backup or fighting for a job there, because when you draft a quarterback number 1 or in the top 5, it's more likely than not they're going to be starting. And so
I mean, there's like a domino effect here because, okay, like the Vikings, McCarthy supposedly, he got hurt, so he's supposedly going to be the guy coming in. So Kirk Cousins has got to have some trade value, I would think.
you would have.
And you would think he wouldn't want to be a backup. He's been an elite starter for most of his career.
I guess with the amount of money that he's getting and all that there, and then the Falcons were saying, hey, we're not going to trade him, so there's a quarterback that's going to just remain there.
And you've seen it over and over how the value of a backup quarterback
is valuable.
Yeah, oh, and so Joe Flacco's back with the Browns and.
Yep. You know, and you look at the quarterback that's out there, the elephant in the room with Aaron Rodgers. It seems like he's either going to go to Pittsburgh or Minnesota. You know, if Minnesota doesn't look at McCarthy as the guy right now, you're not going to draft another quarterback.
He's probably just saying, the Vikings have a better receiving core. Maybe, I mean, don't you think? You have the Pickens dilemma. Is he? I mean, what's he going to do next? I mean, Antonio Brown syndrome.
Yeah,
That's not really a fair comparison at this point, but he's trending that way.
yeah. I mean, you look at the wide receivers for the Vikings to Pittsburgh. I think it's a lot better, with the Vikings when you have a star number one with Justin Jefferson.
Who the Eagles passed on, by the way.
I think at the end of the day, they still made out, but
Yeah.
with
But I mean, the guys that they picked, there's a guy out of Baylor, I forget.
Rager.
Yeah. Rager, yeah.
Rager, yeah.
Justin or?
I forget the
Whatever.
first name there, but Rager.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, I think Aaron Rodgers goes to Pittsburgh.
Seems like a better fit. He has a chance to be the starter, where if he
Yeah.
went to the Vikings,
I think he will
He's gonna-
probably be
yeah.
the starter with the Vikings, but
Over
you have
McCarthy?
that. I think you have that. The cloud over the head. with McCarthy, like. You have this veteran quarterback there. He's not just going to sit on the bench.
Yeah.
He's going to want to play.
whereas the Steelers,
They got,
I mean, no offense to Mason Rudolph,
yeah, he's a journeyman quarterback that,
Rodgers
left.
is a Hall of Famer.
yeah. So
He might
I
finally be healthy. I mean, 2 years afterwards, and spent some time in the cave, get his
Yeah.
act together.
got the Achilles, back in order there. But
Yeah.
if he
You
does,
do know what that is.
yes,
The
yeah.
Achilles.
I think if he goes to Pittsburgh, I think it's for 1 year, and that's been the bugaboo there for Pittsburgh.
Well,
They're-
yeah, why would you sign it for more than a year? Because who knows?
Yeah, you're basically
His
having
health.
a transition year for a player, in his 40s. So you don't know what you're going to get from him.
I mean, can they protect him? I mean,
That's
how
the
do they
other
do it
thing.
protecting Russell Wilson, who is not as mobile as he used to be, but probably is still more mobile than Aaron Rodgers?
So
And he's probably looking at that too. Am I going to take a beating? So I'm sure he and Mike Tomlin had some interesting conversations.
and then Pittsburgh can't go up, and I mean they can move up in the draft, but they're already in the teens, and so they're already in the middle of the draft. So you're kind of stuck where you can't get a top 10 quarterback, and so you're kind of left with whatever. So it's always a dicey situation when you're kind of an 8-9, 7. When you're in that middle ground there, you can't move up, or you have to trade up a lot to move up in the top 10. So you look.
I mean, what would be the biggest surprise out of the top five? I mean, if like no Abdul Carter or no Shador Sanders, or what do you think?
I think Shador Sanders is probably going to go probably to the Giants is my guess.
Yeah, but then they'll have the same kind of situation with Russell Wilson and
And Jameis Winston.
And Jameis Winston.
Yeah. So you have two older quarterbacks with a young quarterback that is on the doorstep there.
they could be trade bait too.
Yeah, they could. Yeah, or they could get cut or,
I mean,
or
Winston
such.
came back for the Browns and he played really well for a few games, and then he kind of
Went back to
returned
his
to
old
form.
shell.
Yeah.
The other team that I think is probably going to be drafting a quarterback that has been drafting a quarterback 4 of the last 5 drafts, and that's the Saints. Who knows what the health is with Carr? They're saying that he has to get shoulder surgery.
His throwing
On his
arm.
throwing. So who knows the likelihood of how long he's going to be out for.
Where do they pick?
They got the 10th pick.
All right.
So, or they got the 9th pick and the Bears have the 10th pick. So,
But, Jackson Dart, they're talking about him, and who's another quarterback of that ilk that maybe is a second rounder but could move up because of the dearth of quality quarterbacks?
probably Will Howard,
Okay,
from
Ohio State,
Ohio State
your
there.
school.
There's a couple quarterbacks there.
I don't see
but
him as no offense,
no,
I don't
no,
see him
I'm-
as a first-round pick.
I see him as a, probably a fringe day 2, probably a round 3, late round 2. So I'm right with you there. I think teams are going to be reaching. You always see that. You see teams trade up in the top 10 to get their guy.
Sure.
But I think you have Cam Ward, Shador, Jackson Dart, and then you look at the 4th quarterback. That's where you're kind of up in the air of who.
Last year's quarterback class was pretty decent.
Yeah, you look at it over the last couple years. They were saying that this is going to be a weaker draft class and all that there. So
Yeah. Abdul Carter, though, highly touted out of Penn State. Will he go in the top 10?
I think he'll probably go in the top 5.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of what team out there wants to take that risk there. Not a risk there, but jumping up there and taking the. I would say probably 5 or 6 there. I don't have the draft order
Yeah.
right now, but the other one is where does Ashton Genty go? You have a running
Heard
back.
6 for him, but you think he could be top 5?
I can see him being in the top 10, probably the 6 through 10. I don't see the Saints going after him. I see the Saints going for a quarterback. The Bears intrigue me, how their running issues have been the last couple years. And then I would have said the Bears would draft a offensive tackle or offensive lineman, but them signing guys during the free agency, I would say you get the best available player. And, Genty's there at 9 or 10, you go for him. So
Yeah, well, last year, this is cold, so you might not have the answer for me, but any running backs picked in the first round last year?
let me see here. Off the top of my head, I don't think there was.
I mean, I've seen some of his highlight tapes. I never really saw a game where he played, but impressive combo of power and speed. He kind of reminds you of Derrick Henry a little bit, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I saw more so with during the playoff game, with Penn State, how Genty kind of, I call him more of a downhill type of runner, kind of a bruiser.
Yeah.
I like the comparison with Derrick Henry. Now with the draft from last year.
Who was a first-round pick, right? Derrick Henry was a first-round pick.
Looking at the running backs from last year, you had Jonathan Brooks from Carolina. He was, I don't think there was no first-round draft picks, but just running backs from last year. You had Trey Benson, 3rd round.
I don't
Blake
even know
Corum.
these guys.
Yeah, so last year it wasn't a lot of, that wasn't the big position there. And you haven't really seen running backs, in the last recent years being.
I mean, they were undervalued, and I
Yep.
think Saquon Barkley and helping the Eagles get a ring. Every running back coming out in the draft owes a bit of, at least a thank you to Saquon Barkley for showing the value of the running back. Jacobs, same thing.
Henry and
Derrick Henry and the Ravens. So it's the resurrection of the running back. Mm-hmm. It'll be
Yeah.
interesting.
I
The
guess-
Eagles, I don't know, they've lost some key pieces to free agency, defensive linemen, CJ in the secondary, so,
guys retiring,
yeah. What about Tyler Warren? Where's he gonna go? Top 10? It sounds like top 10, a lot of people are predicting him.
If he
for-
doesn't go in the top 10, probably 11 or 12. I can see a team going out there and reaching. That's another position you don't really expect a lot during a rookie season for a tight end. Usually, they'll get their catches, they'll get their yardage, but they're not that focal point there. We saw it a little bit there with more so a couple years ago with Sam Laporta. He kind of got that role as that superstar tight end, and then he kind of echelon, in that manner. So, yeah, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, Tyler Warren, he had a game with 17 catches. Who's the Saints guy that does it all? I can't think of his name.
Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill. So, I mean, he's kind of like an upgrade from Taysom Hill, at least potentially.
Younger wise there, yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Taysom Hill, he'd line up a tight end once in a while, right? And quarterback, running, whatever. So Tyler Warren has been a running back. He's been a tight end. He's taken a few shotgun snaps. Great hands, obviously.
Yeah. Looking at the draft order, where I can see, an Ashton Genty going, maybe 4 with the Patriots or the Raiders. They're
Yeah.
kind of in that, this stuck.
They've had some good signings, haven't they, in free agency?
Yeah. Where the tight end could fall, I can see him, maybe Chicago, maybe, Dallas at 12,
Oh, I'd hate that. Ooh.
maybe the Jaguars at 5. The Jaguars have a lot of pieces to fill, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Warren could fall in that spot. Even the Bears at 10. So even with Kmet at the tight end market there, you have 2, so that's not a bad option there. So
Well, believe it or not, we got a call. Let's see who we would like to greet here on Sports Chat. Welcome to the program. Hello. Carl? Robert? Wow, you hear all that background noise?
I
There's
know,
quite a
yeah,
storm
with
going
all
on
that
out there.
wind howling, it's kind of hard to hear the.
We need the cone of silence. We can't, these conditions are difficult. Go, are you talking to us? Yeah, we are talking to you. All right, what do you have to say?
I do not have no report at all for the breaking wire.
You just like to rap with us because we're cool?
Yeah. So my name for tonight will be something related to fast food restaurants for trivia.
Okay,
Is your TV on or something? We're getting the static of the us talking with that.
bad connection. There's an echo. Hello? Little Sir Echo, how do you do? Hello? Hello? Okay, Robert,
Yeah, it's on me.
well, we've had a lot of fun with it, so I think we need to hang up, and this is not a good look for us to,
I think he's
oh,
going.
he's gone? But not forgotten, Robert, I can't wait to,
I think he was getting at there was nothing to report. I think he was
fast
just
food, let's see, will he be McBurglar or
maybe I don't know. It's
Ronald McDonald?
maybe Grimace.
I love Burger King, the mask where it's like a headpiece.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Doesn't do it, it doesn't have any, it's not a real look, but it's unique.
I guess we can dive into NBA and then we'll go into the ET and all that afterwards there. But the
Interesting game tonight,
play-in, yes.
but Warriors, Grizzlies.
Yeah, let me get the time slots here and
Jimmy Butler, Jimmy Buckets, now he goes by Butler the third, is that a new thing?
yeah.
Butler the third?
Are we going to be seeing playoff Jimmy is the question because
Well, supposedly he's healthy, ready to go, and Steph is definitely playing. So yeah, Draymond Green, can he behave? that reminds me, ET, did we cover that? ET, ejection
So the
tracker?
ejection tracker, we are at
We were 3 last week. It's a
seven.
very,
Seven.
or
There's-
7.
We had a couple.
More than doubled in a
A
week.
couple managers get the quick exit,
heave ho.
the quick hoe. So yeah, we had balls and strikes that they were arguing, and I think one was
Phillies got hosed last night. Real Muto hit a apparent 3-run homer. It was foul, and then on the next pitch, it's at least 2 baseballs outside, and he's called out on strikes.
and then we're not doing the ABS system. I think that was a trial during the spring training. I thought they were using that during the season.
No, that maybe next year.
I think they just want to test it, the ball strike and all
Yeah.
that there, and so.
Well, how about the Orioles? What kind of start are they off to?
They're not off to the greatest of start. They're 6-9, and it's just been the starting pitching. Starting pitching has been the
Mediocre
problem. So
or worse?
so
We talked about that. Zach
Yeah,
Eflin as
Zach
your ace.
Eflin
That's- Yeah.
is has the most innings, and he's on the IL. The other pitchers are just struggling to get through 4 innings, or getting to the 5th, or not completing the 5th inning. So that's been the problem. They have
That
a high
puts
pitch
a lot
count.
of stress on your bullpen.
The bullpen has been okay.
Have they had any position players pitch yet this year?
Not yet. There, they haven't had a large deficit loss where you have a position player
Right, you
come
don't
in
want
there.
to
So
waste one of your regular guys when the game is hopelessly lost.
they haven't had a
Either, but
16-0 loss like the Dodgers had. I think it was Friday or something like
the
that. there.
Dodgers
So-
are now in 3rd place. They started out 8-0, and now they went and Max Muncy got traded. He's an A now.
Oh, no. There's 2.
There are 2 Max
There's 2
Muncies?
Maxes, and they have the same birthday.
Well, I was convinced because then I saw the Dodgers and he wasn't in the lineup, and this guy was playing second base for the Athletics. So it's a different Max Muncy?
Yep. 2 Max.
Are you driving me?
No. I'm being as serious
I'll
as
have to look that up.
Yeah.
2 Max Muncies.
same birthday.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are they clones or?
2 different. Yeah. One's bigger and one's
Identical
very.
twins, Max and Max. Usually, even if they're identical twins, they get their own name.
They're one's I think
Same
the-
birthday, same year?
different year. I think
Oh.
one's 6 years older.
Oh, okay.
So
That's weird.
yeah.
When's the last time that's happened? I'm sure it's happened before.
Guys
Guys with the same name, and you have to know what team they're on to know which one it is.
Well, if you want to go even crazier, the Seattle Mariners, they have 2 Luis Castillos in their starting rotation. I'm not kidding with that either.
I believe
Yeah,
you. I
yeah,
believe that. But that is wild.
Yeah.
Do they
so
have nicknames?
I guess.
Are they both right-handed, left-handed? Is
I
one
think they're
right?
both. I think they're both the same pitching
Right-handed.
style. Yeah, right-handed. So, but yeah, when I saw that was because the older or the the seasoned Luis Castillo pitched, then they called up the other Luis Castillo. and they
Luis the
pitched.
elder and Luis the younger?
Yeah, I think they go by the initials or something like that there. But I
Middle
thought that
names
was-
are different?
Yeah, different middle names there. So.
Maybe they use their middle names. I'm sure
But looking at the start with the NL West, there the Padres are just in fuego right now, 11-0 at Petco Park, plus 47 in run differential, and they have led 70% of the innings. You look at it, I mean, they have just been swinging the hot bat.
Well, they picked up some. You know all about Manny Machado,
Yep.
right? A former Oriole, and they picked up the guy who won at least 2 batting titles already from the Miami, and
Alvarez or Luis.
a raise, yeah. When you said that, it kind of jogged my memory. And then guys like Cronenberg, I mean, and their young guys are really coming on. Plus, they got, what, Yu Darvish, is Musgrove back? I mean,
You know, and some of these guys haven't even played yet. You know, Hugh Darvish has, you know, been out. you
isn't
know.
Hader their closer? Mm-hmm. So, I
So-
mean, yeah, and the Giants have a great start, too, so that's why, I mean, you have three teams from the NL West just dominating, probably the three best records in all of baseball at this point.
Yeah, and you know that's the only division that has three teams that have 10+ wins, and
Yeah,
it could be four with the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks have 9 wins, so you have 4 teams very strong,
yeah.
and you have the Rockies that are 3-13. So I mean, there's got to be somebody that
Sure.
you know it's going to be telling the end. there,
Bottom
but,
feeder.
you know, you look at that. I think that is going to be a very compelling division, and it wouldn't shock me if the Padres win that division. I'd be a little bit more surprised if it's the Giants, but I can see the Padres going toe to toe with the Dodgers. You know, throughout the whole season.
Yeah, the Giants had a guy, Raup or something like that. I'd never heard of him before. He did
Roop or yeah,
Roop. The Phillies are not hitting. They're in a slump. Castellanos is doing all right, but Harper down. Schwarber's okay, but you know, they got to have guys like Marsh start hitting, and Bohm and Stott. Trey Turner hasn't really been doing a lot. So up and down the lineup,
Yeah,
guys
just
are
so-so.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Roop kind of spot like 4 runs or something like that, and he's still.
Yeah, T1 Walker had 2 great starts, and then he had a 6-run inning. I wasn't watching at the time, but apparently the Phillies made an error that led to some unearned runs. But a tough night again, so they go at it again tonight. We'll see what happens.
And right now the Phillies, kind of stand, 2 games back, from the Mets, and
Yeah.
2 days ago they were tied with the Mets.
Yeah,
there,
I mean, it's not time to panic
no,
for sure. But the Braves are, how many games out are they?
they're 6 games back, from the Mets there, and the Atlanta is one of 3 teams that have not won back-to-back games. It's the Rockies, and the Orioles are the only teams that have not won consecutive games. So you look where the Braves are at. I mean, they're the last team to win a game, and the Orioles are 6-9 and 2.5 games back. So
Well, yeah.
You
So
look
that
at-
division,
it's
if
kind
they
of-
were if they were in the West, they'd be a lot more games behind than that NL West. But yeah, they're not. So
and then you look at the American League in general. There's only one team that has double digits in wins, and that's the Tigers at 10-6. And you look at all throughout the National League, there's 4, 5 teams that surpass that. So you kind of look at the, I would say mediocre right now baseball in the American League and the National League. It's you got to get
Yeah.
those wins, or you're going to fall.
I mean, I wonder what the interleague play record is. That'd be interesting to see if it carries over. It probably does.
Yeah, I would have believed so there. Yeah,
So
so
who the Orioles have tonight?
their next 6 games are teams from Ohio. So they got 3 with the Guardians, slipped up there, the Guardians, and then they got 3 more with the Reds. So see how it is with those 3 games, but you want to try to get back to 500 baseball. So if they sweep Cleveland, then you're back at 9-9, 500. See what you go from there. But until then, it's just been that struggle bust there. So
Reds Orioles, 2 teams with superstar youngsters. I mean, you got Hunter Green and Ellie De La Cruz for the Reds, and you got Gunnar and
Adley and
yeah.
Speaking of,
Is Holiday still up with the big club?
yeah,
How's he
he's
doing?
he's been playing.
Jackson Holiday.
He's been putting up some numbers, not like crazy numbers there, but he's been playing consistent ball there, not like the stretch that he did last year
Yeah.
where he was like 1 for 33 or something
I
like
was going
that.
to say
there,
he
yeah.
seems a little overmatched last year, but doing better. That's good.
But yeah, speaking of Hunter Green, in his 4 starts this year, his ERA is under 1. with 31 strikeouts, and he's just very dominant.
Did he have a one-hitter? We better put him on that,
Not the
shining
hot seat there,
stars.
yeah, the shining star there.
Hunter Green, pitcher, Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah, his start prior, 2 starts ago, he went 8 2/3, 1 out away from a complete game, and gave up a walk. Pitch count came up a little bit high. They won that game 1-0 there. So, I've been impressed with Hunter Green, just the style of his
Power pitcher, but he
power,
knows how to pitch too.
and coming back from Tommy John a couple years ago there. So, he's a young pitcher, 25. I wouldn't be surprised if he's up there for Cy Young. I know it's early. I know he's going up against Paul Skeens and Chris Sale and the likes of other NL dominant pitchers there. But I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the top 5 with Cy Young candidacy there. But going back to the NBA, we got the game tonight. Who do you think's going to win in these winner?
Is it in Memphis or is it in?
Golden State.
It's in Golden State. I mean, I'm sure they're favored just because they have all the experience and, like you said, now that Butler the third is with them, he tends to make everybody better around him, and in fact, that's what he's done with the Warriors. He's had some injury problems, but when he plays, they're a better team. So I would say I'll go with the Warriors. I mean, John Morant, he tends to carry that team, but what do you think?
I'm going to go with the Warriors. I saw some stats that kind of led me to this way.
Based on what, the season series or?
Well, Memphis is 11-30 on the road this year, and 0-8 in the state of California. And last time I checked, Golden State plays in California. So just the way that the Warriors have played, down the stretch, and just think that game on Sunday with the Clippers, how that went to overtime, that was for seeding purposes. You lose that game, you're in the 7-8 matchup, and you win this game, you're in the playoffs, and you won't have to worry about that play-in. So that was intriguing, but I'm going to go with the Warriors with the veteran leadership with Draymond Green and Stephen Curry and
Some of the young guys are
Butler.
pretty good
Yeah.
too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Looney and what the first year player, the guard they have, a Polish sounding name. But anyway,
So then
what time's that game? 8 o'clock?
that's the 10 o'clock. The 7:30 game is on the East Conference. That is the Hawks and the Magic.
Oh boy.
I-
Trae Young healthy.
As far as I know, yeah, he's good to go there.
Who do you? I mean, who do you like? The Magic. They kind of had a better first half than they had a second half.
Yeah, they kind of-
do have Poncho.
From Duke there.
Banchero, yeah.
I'll probably go with the Magic. They split, their season series.
Where is that game?
That is in Disney, in
Okay,
Orlando.
that's where my daughter and her family are right now. I guarantee they will not be at that game.
So,
I'm gonna, just for the sake of argument, I'll say the Hawks.
okay. So then we are at tomorrow's game, and that's our elimination game of
Yeah.
the winner of this will play tonight's loser. So we got Heat and the Bulls, which I look at this as teams that have constantly been in this, playing.
This is an elimination game,
Yes.
9-10, okay? And then if you win the 9-10, you gotta play the loser of the 7-8.
Correct, to be the 8 seed there.
Right.
So,
Okay, so who do
look-
you like in that matchup?
looking at this, I think they're both mediocre teams there, and I don't see them, advancing after that there. I don't see them, beating the likes of the Cavs. But, with me taking a winner, I'm going to go with the Bulls. I don't feel confident. Like I said, I see both
Bulls
these.
Heat, I mean, yeah.
Both of these teams just seem very, mediocre, we've been saying that a lot during the show today, but, mediocre, just subpar, but I'm not impressed with either one of them, but I would go with the Bulls to win that game.
Yeah. We're not talking about the Sixers because they went in the tank. I mean, down the stretch, I think they were 3-24 or something unbelievably bad. So enough about them. You won't hear me talk about them again. So I'll go with the Heat.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know.
And
We'll
then,
find out.
Then we have our last game, and that's Mavericks versus the Kings. And that's another one where it comes down to health. What's the health for the Mavericks?
AD?
Yeah, AD is their record is 6-3 when he is playing. The Kings, are with their interim head coach there. They did a firing just like almost all the other teams out there.
Denver. That's a wild one.
Yeah, we were talking about that last week. It was just very out of left field there, for a team that's going to be in the playoffs and not in the play.
And no lower than a third or fourth seed. I mean, so.
Yeah. But on this one, I'm going to go with Dallas. I'm not really confident with that one, but I'm going to go with Dallas to.
I'll go with the Kings. Let's see how we stack
Oh,
up. Yeah. I might not have I'm not recording, but I guess you could edit. You edited it from last week's show.
Yeah, we'll get that from the YouTube or something like that there.
yeah.
But
Okay, and then so what's the other matchup? Or that is the other
That's the
match.
fourth,
That's
yeah.
9-10 in the West.
yep.
Okay, we got it all covered. We both agreed Warriors over Grizzlies. The Magic Hawks. You got Magic. I got the Hawks. You got the Bulls. I got the Heat. You got the Mavs. I got the Kings. We'll see how it turns out.
Yeah.
No money's at stake here, so it's all strictly legal.
Just
And we're
all-
out of time.
Yeah. There we go. It's 6:45.
So stay tuned for trivia in about 15 minutes. We have some surprise guest hosts who will be here.
Not me.
Panelist Corey Smith will be here. If you'd like to be a trivia panelist, give us a call at 717-334-3000 or online, communitymedia.net. Parting thoughts? I guess next Tuesday will be our last chance to kind of cherry pick the draft and make predictions.
Yeah.
So.
And then next week is Earth Day. So,
That's right.
yeah.
Earth
So I
Day.
might wear something blue or green. So,
I'll
yeah.
reminisce about my participation in the very first Earth Day activities on April 22nd, 1970. I was there, you weren't.
I was
so.
not, no.
All right, well, listen, thanks to everybody for tuning in. Robert, we had a bad connection. I can only hope that's what it was.
I know, yeah. That was a different bad connection, too,
Yeah,
because
I
it was
never
an
heard
echo.
the feedback like that,
Yeah.
yeah. So Jordan and Sean and Jordan, as usual, a great job in the control room. And hope to see all of you next Tuesday and every Tuesday here on Sports Chat. Good night, everybody. Mahalo. Oh, coming up, Gettysburg College girls basketball from January 4th, 2002, Gettysburg versus Bethany College, right after true.
Yeah, I was 9 years old during that game.
Yeah, these girls will be probably about 45 now.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, maybe they'll be tuning in. See you then, sports fans. Good night.
Website. Your event might even be highlighted right here on What's Happening. Just email us at info@communitymedia.net. And finally, a huge thank you to our amazing sponsors, Utz, Pizza Garden Italian Restaurant, and all of our wonderful Patreon members.